All right, folks. Well, today is December 7th, and believe it or not, I'm going to be busy for a good deal of time here until we get up to the Golden Globe nomination. So, this is going to be a video that's going to be my final Golden Globe prediction. I know some people will probably post this later, but I'm doing it early because I feel confident enough in some of my picks here to go ahead and share them with you. And just to let you know, I do have I'm a little short on time here today, so I might have to really rush through once we get to the end, but yeah, we'll see. And anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and just run down the categories here. And I don't have official predictions yet for like original score, original song, those categories. I think those are the only two I don't have. Otherwise, I have animated feature. I have the rest of the top categories there for the Globes. So we're going to get into it. And by the way, this is only for film. I don't do official predictions for TV because I'm just not as inundated in with TV as I am with the film categories. Anyways, so let's start from the bottom here, and then we'll work our way up. So as far as predictions for original score and original song, I can throw out a few easy guesses. I mean, John Williams is almost always a nominee when he's got an eligible film, so he's one to consider there for The Post. I do not believe The Last Jedi has screened yet for any of the critics groups or any of like the Globes or SAG voters yet. So those, yeah, we can't count on that. And Last Jedi did not get any nominations at the Critics' Choice Awards because it did not screen in time there. So and I'll do another video here soon because I know I haven't covered anything from National Board of Review yet or Critics' Choice. I think both New York and LA have chimed in for their critics groups. I have not commented on those yet, but I might get into a few comments here today that reflect my opinions there and are changing my predictions a little bit, but it's nothing way too significant here. Okay, so let's keep going here. So who else? Well, Hans Zimmer I think is a given for Dunkirk or Blade Runner 2049. I think he's been nominated like 3 of the last 4 years or something. He does the Globes love him to death, and yeah, he's always a good composer, and he almost always gets nominated. So that's one. I doubt he gets in for both because the Globes don't usually do that, but I don't know. It's a possibility. I mean, Blade Runner has enough support. I think when we get to like the golden or sorry, the Critics' Choice, Blade Runner got a few nods here and there. Who else? Oh, Alexander Desplat for Shape of Water is a good bet. The Darkest Hour. I'm trying to think what else could get in. Ah, boy. Yeah, like I said, I don't have official predictions for those, but those are some guesses to throw out there. Does Johan Johansson have a score out this year? He always gets nominated here, too. Whether or not he's eligible at the Oscars, he always gets in here. Okay, then original song. I mean, Remember Me from Coco is probably the easy bet. The one Evermore from Beauty and the Beast. That's probably going to be the only nomination it gets tomorrow, or not tomorrow. Sorry, the Globe nominations are coming out till Monday, and I will have a live reaction when we get there. But that one. What else? Call Me by Your Name has an original song. Can't remember the name of it right now, but I think that one will get in. Um, like I keep saying it, but Chris Cornell for The Promise, it's kind of more of a sentimental vote. I mean, it's a great song too. Don't get me wrong, but it's a crappy movie. But because of Chris Cornell's passing earlier this summer, I think he could get some sympathy votes enough for the Globes. I think if he gets into the Globes, I think that's when I'll start predicting him for the Oscars. But I don't know. I think it's starting to get a little bit of a groundswell here and there. I'm hearing more people talk about it now. So that's a possibility. I'm not going to put money on it, but it's a possibility. They might go with that. Okay, let's get out of that. Now let's get into the official like stuff I actually have lined up predictions for. So we're going to start with the animated feature category. I think Coco is going to be the winner here. I think it's going to win, just sweep just about everything across the board this year. Then I also have Despicable Me 3 getting it. These are in alphabetical order, by the way, as best I can in alphabetical order. Then the Lego Batman movie, Loving Vincent, and The Breadwinner. Breadwinner at the Annie Awards was one of the biggest nominees there, and Coco was a giant nominee there. Lego Batman got a few nods. So, yeah, I think those 3 are the easy bets. Loving Vincent, I think, has the support. And yeah, so it's really that 5th slot, and I'm just going with Despicable Me 3 because I think both of the first, I know the second one got in here at the Globes a few years ago, Can't remember if the first one did, but I know for sure the second one did. So the Globes do like the Despicable Me franchise. Okay, let's get over to screenplay category. And I remember here at the Globes, it's just one screenplay category, which makes things very tough. Okay, so my predictions are Call Me By Your Name, Get Out, Lady Bird, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and The Post for the 5 nominations. And yeah, this category is just so stacked this year, so stacked. And especially, yeah, as I've been saying all year at the Oscars too, original screenplay is really tough too. So we've got The Shape of Water, The Big Sick, Darkest Hour, I think are also strong possibilities. Phantom Thread is a possibility. PTA sometimes does get in here at the Globes for some stuff. More in the acting categories, and I think that's where we'll see Daniel Day-Lewis get in. But I mean, they sometimes go for weird stuff for screenplay. Anyway, so those are my 5 bets. I mean, yeah, there's 2 or 3 other ones there I mentioned. The Shape of Water, Big Sick, and Darkest Hour, I think, are all all legit shots at getting nominated here. I think Lady Bird is safe. I think Call Me by Your Name is safe. I think Three Billboards is safe. The other two, The Post and Get Out, are my kind of the ones I'm hedging my bets on here. And The Post, I could see dropping because Bridge of Spies didn't get nominated for screenplay. Sometimes Spielberg's films here at the Globes don't always get in for screenplay, and he doesn't always get in for director. So that I'll get to him in a minute. But Get Out, I do see this, and I did, by the way, for the Oscars, I'm finally predicting Get Out to get in for original screenplay. I don't know, it's just enough evidence I think is starting to build up. And it reminds me of Nightcrawler, because remember, Nightcrawler started to get traction a little bit for Best Picture and Best Actor and stuff once we got toward the end of that race for the nominations for the Oscars, and then it ended up getting a screenplay nomination and nothing else. I see a similar road for Get Out. I'm still not predicting it for Best Picture, but I don't know. And Critics' Choice, I knew I was betting on it getting into Critics' Choice, so that was no surprise for me. Okay, let's move over to the acting races now. We'll start with the supporting races. So for supporting actress, I have Mary J. Blige getting in for Mudbound. I also have Holly Hunter for The Big Sick, Allison Janney for I, Tonya, Laurie Metcalf for Lady Bird, and Octavia Spencer for The Shape of Water. All 5 of these ladies, I believe, were at Critics' Choice. Didn't Mary get in? I believe she did. Yeah, but those are the 5 I'm going with. I know some people are still saying Melissa Leo for Novitiate, or however it's pronounced. If she can't even get in at Critics' Choice with 6 nominations, I doubt she gets in here, and I doubt she gets in at the Oscars at this point too. It's and I finally did see like a preview for the movie, but it just nobody's going to see it. She's the only bet for the movie. I mean, if it was a film that was starting to gain traction and say a Best Picture or another acting race or a screenplay race or something, maybe then it becomes a more sure thing. But for now, I think she's going to get left behind for that one. I'm still hearing there is some buzz still on Kristen Scott Thomas for Darkest Hour. I was predicting her here for a long time, but I don't know. I think the train is starting to pull away there. And then also, well, actually, hang on. I don't think Mary got in at the Critics' Choice because they had 6. It was Hong Chow and Tiffany Haddish got in too. Or was it 7? Shit. Hang on. Let me look this up. I didn't memorize the nominees yet from Critics' Choice. They're still early this year. Now, they did push back their award ceremony. It's next month, so there's a little bit of time for campaigning. But, yeah. Oh, there was 7. Yeah, Mary did get in. Okay, yeah. So, so Hong Chow, I remember, did get a lot of early buzz out of, like, Venice and Toronto for Downsizing. She was the only nominee, I believe, for the film at Critics' Choice. She's a possibility, for sure, for Downsizing. And Tiffany Haddish came on strong when she won Supporting Actress at New York Film Critics. That was the first time I'd heard her name in a while. But I do remember when the film came out, Girls Trip, during the summer, there was a little groundswell saying, hey, is this the next Melissa McCarthy nomination, for Bridesmaids? And I'm not betting on it yet, but I wouldn't fall over in shock if she did get into the Globes. And if she does get into the Globes over somebody like Mary J. Blige or Octavia Spencer, then I think I'll start predicting her. But for now, I think those 5 are the safe bets. But again, once we get to the Oscars, though, I'm pulling Mudbound and Meyerowitz Stories and the rest of the Netflix films out because I'm still not confident in them getting over that Netflix bias. Okay, for supporting actor, The nominees I have are Willem Dafoe for The Florida Project, Armie Hammer for Call Me by Your Name, Richard Jenkins for The Shape of Water, Sam Rockwell for Three Billboards, and Michael Stuhlbarg also getting in for Call Me by Your Name. Now, I believe all five of these guys were in at Critics' Choice. Who was the sixth nominee? Oh, it was Patrick Stewart for Logan, yeah. Which, I believe it or not, I was not shocked when Patrick Stewart got it. I think was it a couple months ago or a month ago, I was going through some Globe nomination possibilities, and I did talk about Patrick Stewart for a little bit. And I think he's kind of the last hope if Logan is going to get any nominations this year. I think put all bets on Patrick Stewart. But like I said, he's never been nominated at like the Oscars before. He has been nominated for several Globes and Emmys and stuff for his TV work, but never for film. So I mean, he could break in, but the question is, who does he trample over? I mean, Michael Stuhlbarg has been left off the list for a couple of award show nominations so far. Armie Hammer has also missed out at some. It's kind of a little bit like Spotlight a couple years ago. Remember when Mark Ruffalo and Michael Keaton kept canceling each other out at like the Globes and SAG? It's a possibility that it could happen again for Call Me by Your Name. But I think because there's a little less competition than that year for supporting actor, I think we will see at least one of them get in. But and I think between the two of them, Armie Hammer is the more famous name. He, I believe, has more screen time, according to most people. I've really hardly seen anything yet this year. Every one of the late hitters here is just coming out now or is just coming into wide release now. So, yeah, so I haven't got a chance to see him yet. I've been too busy and a few other things here. But yeah, it's those five I'm pretty confident in. You know, after Richard Jenkins got in at Critics' Choice, now I'm starting to take him a little bit more seriously. Yeah, trying to think who else here has a decent shot. The only other one, yeah, well, two other ones actually I can think of now. Jason Mitchell for Mudbound, he is getting a little bit of support. I actually have him getting nominated at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, which I'll get into them eventually. I've got too much going on here. I can't do everything in one video. And then Woody Harrelson, I believe, got a couple nods here and there at a few of the smaller critics groups that have already sounded off as far as nominations for supporting actor. But again, it's you got Sam Rockwell in there for Three Billboards. Now, I mean, if it's a scenario to where Dafoe gets in, I think Dafoe is clearly becoming the front runner here. I mean, if I already said he was kind of a front runner back in November, but now he's really starting to solidify it with all the wins he's getting at New York and did he win LA too? I think he did, as far as I remember at least. So I mean, he's for sure. I mean, that's going to happen. If it is a scenario where he gets in and then it's the two guys from Call Me by Your Name and the two guys from Three Billboards, I mean, that would be weird. But I mean, I wouldn't throw it out as the wildest possibility yet. Okay, let's go ahead and move on now to the lead races. We'll start with the comedy and musical segment here, and we'll start with the leading ladies. Okay, for the nominees for Best Actress in a Comedy or Musical, I have Judi Dench for Victoria and Abdul, Salma Hayek for Beatrice at Dinner. Let's see here. I'm trying to get them alphabetically correct here. Margot Robbie for I, Tonya, Saoirse Ronan for Lady Bird, and Emma Stone for Battle of the Sexes. And seriously, this race for Best Actress in a Comedy Musical, it's like four of them I think are very easy bets. Saoirse Ronan, Margot Robbie, Judi Dench, and Emma Stone. I mean, I don't see a scenario where any of them miss. I mean, not to bash anybody here, but it's like the competition this year for actress in a comedy or musical is just so weak. It's just a weak year for competition-wise. And I'm not, that's nothing against the performances. Like, I've seen Judi Dench and Emma Stone, both of them do great work in Victoria and Abdul and Battle of the Sexes, but it's just that the competition is just not there this year. It's just not, it's going to be easy to dwindle it down to five. And I think between, Salma Hayek is the only one, yeah, like I said, it's not a lock here, but, I think there's enough of a little bit of buzz for Beatrice at Dinner. It's a kind of movie I can see the Globes voters really going for that category. I don't see it getting in for Best Picture, Comedy, or Musical, because I think it is much more competitive there. But the only other two I'm looking at here that have a good possibility are Zoe Kazan for The Big Sick and Emma Watson for Beauty and the Beast. And I don't know, I mean, Beauty and the Beast, one of the biggest criticisms I think everybody had was just Emma Watson's performance and her singing voice and everything. And I think that strikes her out. And then Zoe Kazan, I think it's just she didn't get hardly any screen time after the first third of the movie. I mean, she disappears like the entire second act of the movie. She's literally in a coma, and then the third act, it's like maybe the last 15 minutes of the movie before she enters again. So I would have, if I were Amazon and all the distributors there, I would have put her in the supporting actress race. I think she would have had a better bet there. Even though, yeah, you do put her up against Holly Hunter. I think it's she's. I don't think she has a prayer for best actress in that case. Okay, for the leading guys in the comedy or musical race, I have again. I'm trying to get these in alphabetical order here. Steve Carell for Battle of the Sexes, James Franco for The Disaster Artist, Hugh Jackman for The Greatest Showman, Kumail Nanjiani for The Big Sick, and I'm putting in a kind of a wild bet here. Adam Sandler for The Meyerowitz Stories. Yeah, now this one, there is a little bit more competition here for Best Actor, Comedy Musical, because we have these five. Then we have Daniel Kaluuya for Get Out, who's getting a lot of nominations now. I'm kind of surprised at that. We have Matt Damon for Downsizing, and Ansel Elgort, I believe, for Baby Driver, has a little bit of love to him, a little bit. I mean, I don't say enough to get him a nomination, but, I mean, it's, an odd possibility, an outside shot. Yeah, the thing with Kaluuya is, for me personally, I've said it many times, but Get Out is still the best film I've seen all year, and no doubt he did a tremendous job in the movie. There's, one or two scenes with him that I'm like, yeah, that he's a good actor, but I just don't see him getting into this race. Part of it is, I've heard from multiple sources now that Get Out is not really, as far as if chances for Best Picture at the Globes. It's some voters are just not responding to it at all. They just either don't get it or it's not their cup of tea. So that's why I think Daniel Kaluuya gets left out. I see the screenplay getting in because I think I don't know. I just have a feeling on that one. And then the thing with Downsizing, again, it was kind of peaked once it got off of the early reviews from Toronto and from Venice, and then it's kind of just nosedived from there. And easily, I think Matt Damon, if he gets in, that boosts the film's chances and boosts his chances a little bit. But the thing with Adam Sandler is The Meyerowitz Stories is a Netflix film. Netflix traditionally does very well here at the Globes, especially, again, in the TV categories. But as far as the film categories, we do see that it did have success with, what's his name? Idris Elba for Beasts of No Nation. And another thing, too, I think Adam Sandler is doing the rounds, I think, for the voters and stuff. So I think there's enough there for him to get a nomination. Again, it's not, I think, like 100% going to happen, but I don't know, I just have a feeling. And plus, he's been nominated here before for Punch Drunk Love. Okay, moving over to the drama races for the leading guys and gals. Starting with the leading actress in a drama. I have Jessica Chastain getting in for Molly's Game, Sally Hawkins for The Shape of Water, Frances McDormand for Three Billboards, Meryl Streep for The Post, and Kate Winslet for Wonder Wheel getting in. This, for me, might be the easiest category. Because after these five, then you have Jennifer Lawrence for Mother, which I know the film got totally ransacked by some of the audience scores and stuff. But again, I think Jennifer Lawrence, she did the Hollywood Roundtables. She's doing a few of the other press junkets and stuff. So she is getting around and doing the work to get a nomination. And the Globes, if we've learned anything about the Globe voters for leading actresses, Jennifer Lawrence is like their top doll right now. She's won 3 out of 4 nominations. She's won, so I think that's what's going to end up getting her knocked off there. I think it has less to do with the film itself, because I mean, no doubt the film I thought was great. I thought it was just totally unexpected, and once I caught on to it, I was like, oh, this is so good, and even though it does come once you catch on to it, it does become a little predictable. But still, I enjoyed kind of seeing how the shoe was going to drop. It's like sometimes I get into it that way, and sometimes I just get bored. Like, yep, that's going to happen. Yep, that's going to... But this one interested me, and it kept my interest even after I kind of figured out the clue to the movie. And again, she does a tremendous job in the movie, too. And she does go to some pretty dark places that she really has never been as an actress, at least not to my memory. And I have not seen Winter's Bone, so maybe she does do some pretty bad stuff there too. But this was, I think, something completely out of left field from her. So, I mean, it is a possibility, and Darren Aronofsky, factor, I think, does help it a little bit. But I don't know. The Globes also really love Kate Winslet, so yeah, that's why I'm going with her. I think the other four are very, very safe, especially for me. Even though I don't have her getting in at the Oscars at this point, but Chastain, because she got in here last year for what was it called? There's the one. There's the gun control movie from last year, Miss Sloane, yeah, or whatever it was called, something like that. Yeah, that one was. I thought she should have been nominated at the Oscars for that one, but yeah, she got nominated here last year for that. Okay, for the leading guys, the nominees I have are Timothy Chalamet or Chalamet. I'm still hearing multiple pronunciations for that. For Call Me by Your Name. Let's see here. Then Jake Gyllenhaal for Stronger. Daniel Day-Lewis for Phantom Thread. Gary Oldman for Darkest Hour. And watch out for this one, Robert Pattinson for Good Time. Yep, I'm going on a limb here. Robert Pattinson, he got in at Gotham. He got in at what was the other one? Indie Spirits for Best Actor. And it kind of reminds me, this is kind of, I mean, it's not a similar role, but it's a very similar position that Viggo Mortensen was in last year for Captain Fantastic. I'm going to try and catch that one this year. And I think it's Robert Pattinson in this category. And I have not seen the film Good Time. It didn't do well at the box office, at least not when it went wide. I mean, in initial things for its limited release, it did well. But once it got wide, it just never really caught traction. And then, even though, yeah, it is kind of a critical darling this year, I think he gets in here. Because the thing with, like, Tom Hanks in The Post is another one. I mean, almost everybody else is predicting him but me. But and he did win Best Actor at National Board of Review. But the thing is, he has consistently left out. Like, I remember Bridge of Spies that year. I was, betting the farm that he was going to get nominated at the Globes for that one, even not at the Oscars. But at the Globes, I thought he's a sure shot. And then I didn't predict him last year for Sully. At least I don't think I did. Or if I did, then I did foolishly. But he missed for Sully. He missed for Bridge of Spies. It's just lately he just can't get in, and of course, even though he got nominated at the Globes for like Captain Phillips and at SAG and at all the other ones, he couldn't get in at the Oscars either. So I think that does that too. And then plus the Post, started. The official reviews have come out not as strong as I would have anticipated at this point, at least. Now, of course, maybe it's just because it is Spielberg, so you almost expect it to be like one of the best reviewed films of the year. But it's right now, there's some polarizing reviews out there. So maybe that has a little bit to do with it. Also, I can see him, I haven't seen it yet, but the Roman J. Israel movie with Denzel, and I think it's pretty much become a flop at the box office. I mean, nobody really has gone to see it, or at least not the numbers that I think, was it Sony, I think, or whoever was behind it was hoping. So I think that hurts Denzel, and then also, the fact that he was just nominated here last year for Fences, and the year before he won their Lifetime Achievement Award or whatever it was called. So it almost feels like he's already been bestowed enough, and we kind of have to wait for another role like the Fences role or something where he's more active in it, I think. And I think the thing with Fences, too, was even though it did not get nominated for Best Film Drama last year, I was predicting it. I mean, everybody thought it was really in the conversation, too. I think that's what, really helps Denzel there. But Roman J. Israel, it's like the only nomination it could possibly get is Best Actor. I'm not hearing it for Screenplay. I'm not hearing it for Picture. I mean, no. It's pretty much, that's it. I mean, that's the only shot it's got is if it's going to get Denzel in there. And I think that's, I just don't see it happening for the Globes. Okay, moving on to the Best Director race. Okay, so the 5 I have getting in. Okay, again, I'm trying to get this in alphabetical order. Greta Gerwig for Lady Bird. Luca Guadagnino for Call Me By Your Name. Martin McDonagh for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. Christopher Nolan for Dunkirk. And Guillermo del Toro for The Shape of Water. Now, again, and I was talking to somebody about this yesterday, but I said I might have done a foolish thing by pulling Spielberg out of this, but I don't know. I mean, he was nominated here for Lincoln. He did not get nominated for Bridge of Spies. Was not nominated, to my memory, for War Horse. Yeah, so it's like an every other time thing. So maybe he will get nominated for The Post. I mean, it's yeah, but I don't know. I just think, Greta Gerwig, I think, is starting to come on strong. She did, even though they had seven nominations for Critics' Choice, and it was these five plus Jordan Peele plus Steven Spielberg at Critics' Choice. But I think Greta is getting enough buzz. I think wasn't she runner up at L.A. or something like that, or she was runner up at one of these, L.A. or New York, one of the two. And it was actually another one too. And I don't have it getting nominated for anything other than supporting actor, but. We are starting to see Sean Baker come on strong for the Florida Project. I think he won Best Director at New York, if I'm remembering right. He won one of them. Um, and I remember early on, I was predicting him for Best Director. I might have to put him back in, maybe. But then I got to either knock out Martin McDonagh or, in this case, Greta Gerwig now for the Oscar slot. But oh boy, this is kind of a tighter race here. I think Guillermo is safe. I think Christopher Nolan's safe. I think Luca is pretty safe. I mean, really, the only two sure bets are Christopher Nolan and Guillermo del Toro. And I think when we come to the Oscars, I think that's going to be the showdown. Is which of those two are going to win? I think those are the only two I see winning at the Oscars at this stage, at least. Unless we have somebody like Greta Gerwig who just wins over and over and over again and wins DGA or something like that, and then it's unstoppable. Or Luca gets on that train, or I don't know if Martin McDonagh can get on that train. And I don't know. Spielberg has been bestowed enough times. I don't really see him getting on a role like that where he just keeps winning everything, including DGA again. He's won it like two or three times. So I don't know. Unless the Post really takes a left turn and all of a sudden it's starts winning at a lot more things other than National Board of Review, but. Yeah, for now, I'm sticking with these five, but it's those two. I mean, Sean Baker, I think does have an outside shot for Best Director here. Um, I would even say Joe Wright for Darkest Hour because the Globes do like Joe Wright a little bit. And even though I know early on I was saying Darkest Hour is exactly the kind of Globes movie they're going to give it five or six nominations, I've backed that down now. I think I've got Gary Oldman in, and I think was that it? No, that couldn't have been it. Well, probably for score. But yeah, I think it's just it's not really sticking in the conversation the way I thought it would. So yeah, that's why I'm not predicting him, but I'll throw his name out. Anybody else here that I'm thinking of? Well, one possibility, if Mudbound really goes over well with the Globe voters, then Carey Mulligan I think is also a shot for lead actress, but an outside one for the drama race. But Mudbound, Dee Reese could also get a nomination there, and then for screenplay too. She co-wrote the screenplay. One more I didn't mention. Also, I know we're kind of scatterbrained here, but for best supporting actor, they just did a screening. I believe it was an incomplete screening, but it was enough to qualify, I guess, for the Globe voters. For All the Money in the World, now with the completed Christopher Plummer footage replacing Kevin Spacey. And yeah, early word on it was Christopher Plummer actually is great in the role. Now, of course, they could maybe just be saying that because, hey, they just shot it 10 days ago, literally like 10 or 11 days ago. And it could also be because, hey, they're just kind of a sympathy thing because they just don't want to have anything to do with Kevin Spacey at this point. And that's a possibility, but I tend to think it's less cynical than that, and it's a little more. Yeah, I mean, obviously he's a great actor. He's won just about every kind of award you could win through the years, and I'm not predicting him for supporting actor, but I'll throw it out there as an oddball possibility. Okay, now let's get into the top awards for best film in those races. Let's start with the comedy musical one. Okay, so the five films I have getting in are, and again, I'm trying to get these in alphabetical order as best I can: The Big Sick, The Disaster Artist, Lady Bird, I, Tonya, and The Greatest Showman. Okay, so with these five, I think Lady Bird is a safe bet. I have Lady Bird winning the whole thing here for the Globes. I think The Big Sick, it's kind of like Trainwreck from a couple years ago. I can see it getting in. They do like the Apatow films sometimes. I, Tonya, I'll tell you what, this one I think is coming on strong, and I've watched the trailer for that one actually a couple times here the past couple weeks. That movie just looks like a ball. It just looks so fun. So I think that one, and I think the infectiousness of it, and plus it's getting great reviews too. Plus it's got two of the acting races there, so I can see that one getting in. The Greatest Showman, it is comedy slash musical, and whenever there is a musical out there that's worth bestowing a nomination on, they'll give it. Even stuff like Phantom of the Opera can get nominated here, for Christ's sake. So that's why I'm going with that one. And then The Disaster Artist I'm putting in there because the reviews are strong. It's doing very well so far in its limited run. We'll see how it does when it gets to wide release this weekend, but by then, of course, all the votes are in, so it doesn't matter. But I know early on I was predicting it, and I was some people let it go, but I was like, nope, I'm sticking with it, and I'm sticking with it now. So that does leave Get Out of the race. That does leave Battle of the Sexes out of the race. That does leave, even something like Beauty and the Beast. That's another musical. The Meyerowitz Stories is out, and Downsizing is out. Did I already say that one? I might have already said that one. Sorry. But anyways, so that's, I mean, I'll throw those all out as possibilities, especially for me, Get Out and Battle of the Sexes, because Battle of the Sexes is kind of a movie that is meant for the Globes. And I remember early on I was saying I can see it getting 3 or 4 nominations at the Globes. Like I thought, Screenplay early on, I think, for film and for the 2 lead actors in the film. And I think that the actors are the only thing that are going to get in for it at this rate. And it just died at the box office, never really got the big critical gains and everything. And I've not really seen it nominated much else. I don't think even Critics' Choice put it in for like their stupid Best Actor and Best Actress in a Comedy categories. I don't know why they do that. I mean, really, they should put that in there. If you're gonna nominate, like Girls Trip, get a few of the leading gals from that in there. Sure, that's when I see it getting a little bit of legitimacy. But otherwise, they're gonna just fill it up with kind of the roles that normally would be more dramatic, but because they're listed as comedy at the Globes, they can qualify here. Ha ha ha. So that's why I like Saoirse Ronan and all those. Even though I have not seen Lady Bird yet, I'm predicting it has comedic elements, but it's her role is actually a little more dramatic. I don't see her being like a clown in the movie, at least from the trailers and stuff. So that's why I'm going with those 5. But yeah, Get Out. It's still a possibility, still a big possibility here, and I might just be saying, okay, I was wrong, on that one when we get to the Globe nominations on Monday. Okay, for film drama, this one, it's a little less tight, but yeah, let's go ahead here. Okay, so I have the 5 nominees being Call Me By Your Name, Dunkirk, let's see here, The Shape of Water, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, and The Post. So, yeah, this one, I think Dunkirk is pretty safe, 3 Billboards is safe, Call Me By Your Name is safe, Shape of Water is safe. Really, The Post is the only one I can see falling out of these 5. But even then, it's like the next one I have up there would probably be Darkest Hour, then The Florida Project, then Mudbound. Yeah, I think those 3 are the only other 3 I would say, wager have a guess, or wager have a chance to get nominated here, I mean. So, yeah, really The Post, I think, being the weakest link here because, again, Bridge of Spies was not nominated. That year, I think, yeah, I'm thinking about it now. I think only, what's his name? Got in for that for supporting actor, but I still can't remember his name. Shit, the dude, the Russian spy dude. Anyways, I know everybody's screaming at me as the guy's name, but it'll come to me like in 5 minutes. But that I remember that was the only nomination of the Globes for Bridge of Spies was for supporting actor. Now, I don't think Streep becomes the only nomination for The Post, though. I think, obviously I think Streep's a lock in that category. But I do think there's enough buzz for the film, enough buzz for the screenplay, at this rate at least, even though, yeah, it is kind of a shaky bet for me. But, and I didn't put Tom Hanks in. And I kicked Spielberg out. I might be just kicking myself later for that one. But, yeah, in the meantime here, the rest of them, I think, are really, really safe here. They've all done well critically. They've all done decently so far at the box office, especially Call Me By Your Name, doing very, very well in limited release. Shape of Water is off to a really nice start. 3 Billboards is getting some good dollars here and there. The Post, it's the only one that hasn't opened yet, so that might factor in a little bit. Darkest Hour so far is doing well in its limited run. Mudbound, of course, Netflix didn't put it out, but in theaters, but evidently it's doing well. And then Florida Project is doing pretty well for its limited run. What was it? Up to $4.5 million, I think, for I think it's 400 theaters or less. I think I can't remember what the highest theater count on that one was, but that one's doing very well. But I kind of see. I remember Whiplash here a couple years ago only got J.K. Simmons in, even though the Best Picture chances for the film just boom just were there after the Globes. Florida Project I can see having a very similar route there. Plus, Florida Project is getting in for Best Picture at Critics' Choice, and it was up for Any Spirits. It was up for the Gotham Awards. So yeah, it's I think it's got its fans out there. So it's a possibility for the Globes. I don't necessarily see him going with it. I think there's enough other highbrow stuff for some of the other indie fare. I mean, other stuff that's probably got a better chance of winning Best Picture at this rate. So I think they'll go with that over Florida Project. All right, so yeah, I know this is kind of going out a little early here. We've got plenty of time before the nominations are announced on Monday, but I'm going to be busy in the next few days here, and I do plan on going and seeing. Let's see, I got to pull up my list here because I've got a chance to finally go to the theater again. I haven't been there in a while. I think Justice League was the last one I saw. Oof. Okay, even though I liked it, but it's like that was a while ago. So I'm seeing Lady Bird, Three Billboards, The Disaster Artist. I'm seeing Wonder all in one day here. That's coming up. I'm probably going to do it Sunday. So I'm going to try to see as many of these films as I can before the Globes, and I think those are the only three I can see. Plus Wonder, which has gotten very, very great responses from the box office. Critics really like it, so yeah, I'll check it out. And I did put that one in now for adapted screenplay and for makeup at the Oscars. We'll see how that one holds. All right. Well, I think that's all I've got for now. The Globes, again, nominations come out Monday morning. I will be up and early, and we'll go ahead and get the live reactions there once they're out. All right. Until then, see if I have time here this weekend. I do want to comment on, get a little bit further into the Critics' Choice nominations. Do some reactions for the New York and LA film critics, and I did not talk about National Board of Review yet, so I wanted to comment on those eventually. I might have to save them. Plus, I have to do SAG predictions and the live show for that. So we're getting into the busy time of the year, folks.